As the lights went out, a warm glow spread over the huge crowd. She was wearing a sparkling custom-made dress that made her think of her Speak Now era. Taylor Swift stood in the middle of the stage with her heart racing. When the Eras Tour played at London's Wembley Stadium, it was a blur of feelings and memories, and tonight, it was going to get even better. Taylor felt a wave of homesickness come over her as the first chords of Love Story filled the air. To enjoy the moment, the link with her fans, and the magic that could only be made by live music, she closed her eyes. But she had no idea that behind the scenes, a big surprise was already in progress. Travis Kelce, Taylor's boyfriend and the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, watched from the stands with a sly grin on his face. He held a small silk box in his hand. Inside was a secret he had been keeping for weeks. As the last notes of Love Story faded, a spotlight shone on Travis, making the crowd gasp and cheer. With a bunch of red roses in one hand and the silk box in the other, he walked out on stage. Taylor watched as Travis knelt down in front of her with wide, interested eyes. "Taylor," he said first, his voice raised by the stadium speakers, "you are the most amazing woman I've ever met. Your music has moved a lot of people, including me. You touched my heart in ways I didn't think were possible." Taylor's eyes filled with tears as Travis said, "Tonight, I wanted to give you something that shows how much I love you." When he opened the velvet box, a beautiful diamond necklace with a waterfall of sparkling stones that seemed to capture Taylor's own light appeared. Taylor hid her face with her hands as tears ran down her face because she was so upset. The crowd cheered and whistled, and their sounds could be heard all over the field. Taylor gave a heartfelt nod and said, "Yes, 1,000,000 times yes." Travis stood up and put the chain around Taylor's neck. After that, he gave her the roses, which mixed with the electric atmosphere of the show. The stadium lights shimmered as they hugged, making the scene feel like it was straight out of a fairy tale. When the show started up again, Taylor sang "Lover" in honor of Travis, her voice filled with love and happiness. The night became a party of their love and a show of how powerful music can be and how life can take crazy turns. As the stadium filled with the last notes of the encore, Taylor and Travis stood together, their hearts full. Their future together was as bright as the spotlight that had shone on their love story that amazing night in London. The lights went down, giving the huge stage a warm glow as Taylor Swift stood in the center. At London's Wembley Stadium, 80,000 people were pumped up and making noise. Taylor was almost done with her Eras Tour show, which was a trip through the musical parts of her life, with each part representing a different era. The night had been amazing, with Taylor's beautiful voice and complicated dance moves enchant the crowd. As Taylor sang the first few notes of Invisible String, she looked around the crowd for a known face. This was the start of the Love Story era. As the song hit its most emotional peak, her eyes fell on Travis Kelce, her boyfriend and a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. He was beaming back at her from the VIP section. Taylor felt a wave of feeling wash over her as she sang. A single tear ran down her face as her voice shook a little. The sight of Travis, with his unfailing love and support shining in his eyes, made her feel so thankful. Travis had a treat planned for Taylor, but she didn't know about it. The stage went dark as the last sounds of Invisible String faded away. The stadium went quiet, and there was a sense of expectation in the air. All of a sudden, a flashlight shone on Travis, who was standing in the middle of the stage and holding a microphone. "I know how important this tour is to you, Taylor," he said in a loud voice that echoed through the stadium. "I wanted to make tonight even more special." As Travis talked, a huge screen behind him lit up and showed a beautiful picture. Life-sized copies of Taylor's childhood home in Reading, Pennsylvania, were made with great care. The shocked crowd let out gasps, and Taylor's jaw dropped. Travis's voice got heavier as he spoke. "This is a sign of where it all began. You always dreamed of being on stages like these and letting people hear your songs. I'd like to share a part of that dream with you." Taylor couldn't say anything. Her eyes were filled with tears as she looked at the copy of her childhood home and remembered so many things. The gift was better than anything she could have imagined, which shows that Travis knew what she really wanted and dreamed about. As Taylor walked over to Travis, the crowd cheered and chanted her name. Her eyes were filled with happiness and thanks. As the couple hugged, the crowd could feel how much they loved each other. When Taylor was really moved, she whispered, "This is the best gift I could ever ask for." The rest of the show was a blur of music, love, and partying. Taylor performed with even more emotion, and her voice filled the stadium. Fans were enthralled as they watched this private moment between two of their heroes. Around the end of the show, Taylor and Travis took one last bow together. They got a lot of praise, and the picture of Taylor's childhood home stuck in their minds as a reminder of love, dreams, and the power of music. The crowd at London's Wembley Stadium for Taylor Swift's Eras tour went quiet as she finished her acoustic version of All Too Well. The fact that her signature red lipstick was smudged showed how deeply she felt about every performance. But tonight was different. She got a lump in her throat and tears in her eyes, but not because of the words. They were tears of excitement. All of a sudden, the Jumbotrons came on, but instead of showing concert video, they showed her boyfriend, NFL star Travis Kelce, standing backstage. He spoke straight to Taylor with a huge smile on his face. "Hey Tay, I know you're about to start the surprise song section, but I have a little surprise of my own for you," he said. She put her hand to her mouth quickly, and her eyes got big with surprise and worry. Travis was meant to be in the US getting ready for football season. Why did he come here? Remember when you said you wished you could relive the 1989 tour? Travis' voice kept going, with a hint of fun in it. "Well, I may not be a time machine, but I can do the next best thing." The stadium lights went out, and a soft pink glow filled the stage. In the stadium, the first sounds of "Style" could be heard, but it wasn't Taylor's band. It was a full marching band, and they were dressed in the famous clothing from their 1989 tour, including top hats and coats with sequins. As the band got into high gear, the stage turned into a small version of the set from their 1989 tour. Big plastic polar bears bounced around the stage, and dancers wore the same clothes Taylor did back then. Taylor couldn't say anything. She had tears running down her face, mixed with happiness, shock, and love. There was more to this than a gift. It showed how much Travis cared and how well he knew her. As Taylor began to sing "Style," her voice became thick with emotion, and the crowd went wild. She danced with the 1989 dancers, sang with the marching band, and even gave a big plastic polar bear a hug. She was crying so hard by the end of the song that her mascara was running down her face. Travis walked out on stage with his arms spread wide. She jumped into his arms and buried her face in his chest. "This is the coolest thing anyone has ever done for me," she said in a low voice that was masked by his shirt. Travis laughed and stroked her hair. "Anything for my 1989 queen." The cheers from the crowd could be heard all over the field. Tiffany and Travis stood together, their love shining brightly. Their love had just been captured in a truly Eras moment. This night will always be remembered by Taylor Swift as more than just another event. It was also the night her boyfriend surprised her with a one-of-a-kind gift, which shows how amazing their love story is.